to all the dispossessed youth of Africa, for perpetuation of communion with ancestral spirits through the fight for African freedom, and in the firm faith that the dead, the living, and the unborn will unite to build the destroyed shrines. Selah. Hello and welcome, beloveds, to another episode of Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways, beloveds, and that you're moving into living life truly on your own terms, that you're paying attention to everything that is happening across the world and you're staying like 10 steps ahead. There's so much that's happening in terms of, because they are literally collapsing this system, so that they can start an entire new digital AI technological world order. I don't know how far they'll get in Africa. Maybe they'll be able to get the cities, but I think for the majority of Africa, that plan is still far, far behind. But in Europe and the divided states, it's definitely something to worry about. So that's why I keep saying, if you can, if you've been led by spirit, get out. Move to Africa, move to, and I mean, we are a global melanated nation. So I've seen a lot of people moving to different Latin American countries, Brazil, Mexico, etc., etc. Just get out of the cities and disconnect yourself as much as possible from the Babylon system if you wanna remain intact. But there are already many among us who have taken the double Mac and they have no idea what's coming to them, but those are stories for other days. I think it's really important that we look at everything in a balanced way. And for so long, I've talked about what the colonizer has done, what Babylon did to put us in this predicament. But rarely have I touched on the Oreos or the coconuts among us and the huge role that African wizards and warlocks have actually played in delaying the destiny of Africa, in enforcing, many of the rules of the colonizers and the neo-colonial powers. Because as I told you, beloveds, the secret societies came before the missionaries. Maybe they even came at the same time. And many of the leaders across the African continent today would never have made it into any level of leadership, leadership level, any level of leadership. Because it was never about sacrificing others or playing those games. It was always about proving yourself as someone who had, the purest love, the purest vision for the different kingdoms and queendoms that existed. And at the same time, someone who had the gifts. Because I don't know if you've seen my show about there are gods among us. And so leaders weren't just picked because you're the most popular or you're the most eloquent or, you have the best political agenda. No, that was never about it. And a lot of the leaders that are around today, beloveds, really do not deserve to be in leadership positions, and they are part of the enforcers. And I think because we've gone away so much from our narrative and we've allowed others to write our narrative, there's a lot that's missed out, beloveds. And when you look today at how many chosen ones are not even contending with Babylon, but the people who are trying to take them out are in their own families. They're their spouses, they're their friends, they're their colleagues. Because, we do not wage war against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness in high places, beloveds. Against the rulers of darkness of this world who have their agents. And they are an obsessed people. They're obsessed with surveillance. But when we look at the role that African wizards and warlocks have played, the lower level ones, then we will accept that we are part of the problem, beloveds. And part of the liberation of Africa will be defeating these wizards and warlocks in our own families and witches, in our communities, in our nations, and to differentiate, because you see now, they were the ones practicing the lower level magic. But this world is an occult world. This world is manifested by wizards and witches, beloveds, but there's some who sacrifice, some who destroy in order to create, and some who harness in order to create. So we're looking for the ones that destroy. And the ones that destroy, they have known. There are some low-level magicians, beloveds, who were never, meant to, because there's also karma that happens on this planet. I really hope I'm making sense. There's a lot of reasons that people visit Mama Earth, or whatever you want to call it. Some it's to learn, but a lot of people in this cycle, in these dark ages, it's been to live out their karma. And so maybe they mistreated someone in a previous life and they're here now to suffer the consequences of that. But what we'll find is that these low-level wizards and warlocks have been fighting this. And they've been fighting their destinies and trying to manipulate what they are supposed to experience, not knowing that they're still experiencing. They're just adding on. They're just adding on the bill that they will have to eventually pay. No one else, you can't pay your bill with someone else's energy. You just can't do that. And there's so much that's done behind the scenes, beloveds. And I feel that it's not so much Babylon that takes advantage of this religious psychosis as much as it is our own wizards, witches, and warlocks who are practicing. I mean, it's not a joke when people say, the African visits the obeah man on Saturday and goes to church on Sunday. Like, there's a lot of people engaging in a lot of different kind of magic, beloved, especially our politicians. And it's not even a running joke, but it's a running fact, like a hidden fact, that every election season here in Kenya, let me know if this happens in your country, but every election season here in Kenya, we will see a flocking of all kinds of sangomas from South Africa, all kinds of wizards from West Africa, the Congolese, witch doctors won't be let out. And because we're so spiritually ignorant, we can't differentiate between the nefarious ones and the good ones. And many of the good ones who are here, who are light beings, who are light workers, who are here to take out these dark forces, kind of have been made to fear their power because it's all bunched into one thing and said it's evil. But so much has been done, beloveds, behind the scenes by African wizards and warlocks, and is still being done. And you see, a lot of us chosen ones, we came into certain families, beloveds, where those families, they'll go to an astrologer and they'll see what destiny you're coming into. They want to know. We have some high-level mystic men and women, very old, and they'll want to know, why is this person coming? As I told you, in the Agikoyo nation, I'm named after my grandmother, my daughter will be named after my mother. So that's how you do it in order to, to continue those bloodlines, or the mother of my husband, I mean, there's a whole naming system. But, and others, they really believe that, because we believe in this reincarnation, that souls do return. And so they always want to know, is this soul coming to destroy the family? Is this soul coming to be a great one? And unfortunately, many of the powerful families have been hijacked by these low-level wizards and witchcraft who have literally been sent to abort the destinies of many of the chosen ones. But we made it, beloveds, as I always say, we made it. But we have to now be aware that as Babylon crumbles, so will the superficial Babylon system that was created in Africa, and many of these people will be exposed. And we will have to get out of our naive thinking of these spiritual matters, beloveds, because they have been fighting. You see, the world is changed through people. And even the greatest spirits out there, God, the creator, guardian angels, whoever, they still have to work through a vessel in order to change it. And so many of these powerful spirits will lend their power, which is what we sometimes call the anointing, in order for people to operate in these signs and wonders, to operate in supernatural strength, to operate in, supersonic wisdom, to be able to travel, and leave their bodies behind. Those are stories for other days, though. I don't want to get too deep. But, and so what they've done is they've blocked the light workers, the ones who are from the angelic realms, what many call even the earth angels, and they themselves have become vessels for the demonic entities. And the reason they've done it is for power. But everything has consequences. So in return for power, they have sacrificed their children, they have sacrificed their siblings, they have, created all kinds of chaos and death spell in chosen ones. They are sent to destroy the destiny of many. This is a reality, beloveds. Anyway, let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa.
Welcome back, beloveds, to Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. Thank you so much for liking and sharing and subscribing. And special shout out to our Patreon family. We appreciate, love you so much. There is a lot of information that we have shared on that platform that we can't share on this, public platform. So please do go ahead and check that out. And really, beloveds, Babylon would not have gotten so far if they weren't working with our own people. And I think that as much as we celebrate the fall of Babylon and get ready, because the war is already happening in the heavenlies and we've won. But now it's just for it to manifest physically. And, because so many of our people live physically, then they find themselves entrapped and unable to even recognize that freedom is here. But, the secret societies came way before the missionaries, way before the military, way before these colonial governments. And they signed deals. And I mean, it's something that has been discussed. And it's painful because I really don't like to discuss how a lot of the, it's our own people that sold our people to slavery. We can't just blame. The Mzungu does not have that kind of power to do that. And many of our independence movement fighters were betrayed by our own people who then acted like they were the liberation warriors and took over the governments. And so the whole stories have been distorted about who really fought for the liberation of our people. And so much is being done because, I always feel, and I think I've talked about this in a previous episode, I always feel that since time immemorial, there's been a war between, there's been a struggle between the high-level beings and wizards and, witches and the low-level warlocks and, wizards who vampiristic kind of spirits. There's been a war in Africa between the two. And there was always a balance in the communities. But any stories you heard, like any stories I would hear from my grandmother or my great-grandmother about, the stories of the village, there was always this dark wizard who had done this or who had done that. But balance was always restored because there was always those amongst them who had more power, who were more, angelic, who were more higher vibration. I hate using all these code terms because it takes people in different directions, but I really hope you're getting my gist. And so Babylon won because they were able to identify the wicked ones among us and then work with them, because duality already existed, beloveds. And these are the people who have been running Africa from behind the scenes, and they are willing to sell out Africa just to have their power over the people and their wealth. I mean, that's why when you try and think of how would you sell, why would you sell our gold to China for nothing, and the people who are even in that gold mining region are totally poor? All of this, it doesn't make sense when you look at some of the policies that our presidents and prime ministers make. It's because they're just puppets, beloveds. They've already signed the deal with the devil. Many of them are occult practitioners. It's no secret that if you want to be, a judge or a government official or a high-level lawyer or a CEO in many of these African countries, you have to belong to a secret society. Or if you try and go alone, when you reach a certain level, you will be approached to join the secret society. And if you don't, then your career will be capped at a certain level. And you see, the thing is, because of this thing where we've become such a material people, where you look at someone and you admire them because they have a fancy car, because they have this posh life, because they have all this money that they're giving you, or they're living this, they seem to have power. Those are also spells that are used, beloveds. I mean, these people use so much that our people are totally ignorant. Ignorant. I'm even shrubbing. That our people are totally ignorant about. Even among different religions, beloveds. Like Islam, there's marabouts who will give you spells to, they work with the moon magic, and they'll give you spells to look younger, to, like when you enter a room, there's certain soaps and things that you can use where when you enter a room, like everyone will see you in, like, you won't appear as you really are to anyone. They'll see you as this glamorous character. They'll never see the real you. Like, these are real things, beloveds. And a lot of the people who have power in Africa right now are wielding some serious occult power, beloveds. They're high-level wizards and witches. And they've been able to, like, hoodwink the people. And the reason I share this is because the masks are coming off. People are going to be exposed. We're in a serious season of exposure, beloveds. Because the rightful ones, the ancient ones, are back. And so the judgment is happening on a spiritual level. And I know a lot of people are looking physically. When is this person going to be removed? When is this? Let's rebel against this. I told you guys, beloveds, we are spiritual beings having this human experience. We cannot approach anything from a physical perspective. That's where Babylon has their power. And that's the weakest power you can have in this universe, is thinking that material power will do anything. Because material is created by the spiritual. So I think it's so important that people start to use their intuition around people. Don't admire people just because they happen to have this title or that title, and they're a chief justice, they're an attorney general, they're a doctor, they're this, they're that. Because you have no idea what they've done behind the scenes to get there. And a lot of these people have been so compromised, and they've done so many compromising things that they perpetuate the Babylon system. Because they love having their big cars and their big houses and their big lives. That to them, like, the material world is so real, and many of them are too low to even get into the higher levels of, like, Christ consciousness, beloveds, where you're literally creating, where you can literally create worlds, create realities, beloveds, with like-minded people. And so in order to dismantle the spiritual stronghold on our continent, the negative spirit, the vampiristic spiritual stronghold, our own people are going to have to fall as well. So don't be attached to them. They use so much magic and lies and propaganda and media spin to appear like great people. But if you were to see them naked, you'd see them as the demons that they really are. And so as much as we're praying for the fall of Babylon, we should be using as much energy to call for the total exposure of these characters and the fall of the dark African spiritual societies that have been running things till now. Because obviously they haven't done anything to liberate us. So they definitely didn't have our best interests at heart. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Until next time. Tuko pamoja.